Hey there everybody, Coach Brandon here. Nick is sticking around today to help me with the X-Guard video, the X-Guard instructional, and we're going to try to cruise through this things because Nick's got a dinner reservation to get to, so we're going to try to knock this out quick. He was the only one who was able to stick around, able and willing to stick around and help me, so without further ado, let's get into our X-Guard. So, Nick's on his feet. So, we looked at all last week, was all about the Ashigorami. Okay, Ashigorami and X-Guard are very, very compatible. When you have one, you have the other. If I get into Ashigorami here, and now let's rotate him. Okay. I have the Ashigorami here. Okay. Anytime you have Ashigorami, you also have X-Guard. We're gonna make the transition by taking my inside leg down here, and I make a hook behind the knee. Now my top leg comes off the hip, and my foot, just my foot, passes between his two legs, and I make a hook here in front of his hip. So now our legs are in the X-Guard position. Notice I did not bring my knee through. I'm not bringing my knee through on this, just to the foot. So I go from here, just the foot comes through, the knee stays behind him, and I make my hook. So now we have our legs in the X-Guard position. So we have now a position that we call Ashi X, which is a combination of Ashigorami. My arm is still in an Achilles grip, like when we had the Ashigorami, but my legs are in an X-Guard position, so Ashi X. Now we're going to make a transition from Ashi X into a full X-Guard. All I'm going to do is I'm going to hook onto Nick's leg, just like so, from the inside. And my right arm is going to go out from the overwrap grip, or the Achilles grip, and I'm going to bring it inside into a scoop grip where I take my hand above the knee. Okay? Now, this is X-Guard, where my two legs hooked into his far leg, one leg here hooking behind the knee, my right foot here hooking in front of the hip. From the X-Guard, I have a great ability to start dominating and controlling the space between Nick's legs, throwing them out of balance, taking forward, backward, and I can force the hands forward into the floor. Okay? From the X-Guard, one of my first techniques that I like to look for is the back trip sweep. The back trip sweep works anytime Nick is standing up on his 2 feet just like he's doing. We're going to look later how if Nick were to put his hands forward on the floor, Nick, the back trip sweep isn't really going to work here, but there are other things I can do. But anytime Nick is standing, the back trip sweep is a great option. So from here, for the back trip, my leg that's inside the knee is just going to trace down to the calf, and eventually right here until I get behind the ankle, all the way down by the floor. Now, I'm going to use my 2 legs and my core to start to elevate Nick's body, taking his foot off the floor so I can elevate his foot, bringing it forward, and we knock him back. Okay? Come back up. Let me show that one more time. So from here, my left foot goes down from the knee to the ankle, and now from here, my goal is to start to get that foot up off the mat. I lift it forward and up, and eventually we dump it down. Now from here, I'm going to take my right foot out from the inside position. You'll see my right foot is still between his legs. So I'm going to take my right foot out, my left arm shoots behind his leg, and now I'm going to start going into stack passes and getting past the guard that way. So that's our back trip sweep. Again, that works really well anytime somebody's standing up in vertical posture. Now, let's look at what to do when maybe Nick leans his body forward so I can't take him backward. So we're going to use an Ashigorami entrance. And from Ashigorami, we're going to make our transition into the X-Guard. Now, from here, if I want, I can actually off balance and I can snap his hands to the floor by giving a quick extension and lift with my legs as my knee bumps him forward from behind. Let's go behind. Rotate this way. So when I'm here, as I extend and lift this leg, my right knee is going to bump him forward as well. So when I'm here, I'm going to lift and extend, and we bump him forward and we get his hands down to the floor. So either we can force his hands there, or sometimes he'll take that position himself. Let's rotate again. Let's go back to where we were. So I'm here, Ashigorami, and X. Now, from here, I'd like to do the back trip sweep, but Nick is going to lean forward, putting his hands on the floor. Let's rotate a little bit, so I don't need to talk through your arms there. Perfect. So now we're here in the X-Guard, and his hands are down on the floor. Because his hands are on the floor, a back trip sweep will not work. His center of gravity is leaning too far forward, the back trip sweep will not be an option. But I can go into a scoop sweep or a scoop elevation sweep, where my focus is going to be on getting this leg high up off the floor using my scoop grip. So hence the term scoop sweep or scoop elevation sweep. From here, I'm going to use my legs to start stretching Nick out and pushing him away from me. So my two X guard legs are going to start extending, and now I'm going to start stepping in the knee, and I'm going to extend my right leg to start to push his leg out so I can come up to my elbow and ultimately to my hand. Now from here I want to do a hip heist. So I'm going to replace my right foot with my left foot so that my right foot can base. Now I have my right hand and my left foot on the mat so I can elevate my hips, bring my right leg in underneath of me, and I can stand up. Now from here, he's still on his hands, we still have to finish putting him down. So to finish, I'm going to step behind the ankle here with my right leg, and reach down, and I'm going to pick this ankle up. Now to finish putting him down, I'm going to twist his legs as I walk forward. And we have our sweep. So that is our scoop elevation sweep. Back to X guard now. So the X guard, Nick's hands on the floor. Now from here, move this hand just a little bit, perfect. Now from here, maybe I try to drive into Nick, I'm trying to extend him, and Nick's gonna push back into me. He wants to keep his weight over me so I can't stand up. If I'm trying to extend and I can't, because Nick is doing a good job of driving off of his right foot, I need to get his right foot off the floor. That's where all this power comes to drive back into me. So right here, I'm going to take my right foot out of the hip, and it goes down here to the ankle. My left foot stays behind the knee. That doesn't move. It's my right foot that goes from hip to ankle. And now that I have ankle to ankle, I'm going to use my right hook to lift his ankle off the floor. I'm going to use my two legs to bend his leg and force his knee down to the floor. Now that his knee's on the floor, if he tries to push back into me, he's pushing off his knee, not his foot. He just doesn't have the same power. And so from here, it's very easy for me to start hip heisting, and now I can start to complete my sweep. If he turns into me, we end up in this situation. If I stand up and he turned away, we end up back here, where I come down, I click, I pluck it, and I turn him over. So that's our scoop elevation sweep with a shoelace breakdown, or a hook breakdown, where I hook on his leg shoelace to shoelace, and I take his foot off the floor. Now, we have another option where our opponent's driving into us. Actually, we have a couple more. When he's pushing into me, we've often talked about the notion of action-reaction, right? Where if I push into him and he pushes into me, we don't just want to sit here and stay driving into each other. If he's insistent on coming back this way, I'm going to go back that way with him. And I'm going to show you how to do that now with a near cuff sweep, where we focus on controlling the near cuff so he can't base, and then we're going to back roll into a sweep. So I fit myself into the X guard. Nick's hands are to the floor, so the back trip sweep isn't an option. He's pushing into me, and I'm struggling to extend him and push him away. Maybe I want to go to the shoelace breakdown with I don't have the space to pump my right foot in or what have you. So from here, I'm going to come down to the near cuff, just like so. I'm going to take this near cuff grip and I'm going to shove it underneath of his own body, underneath of his own chest. So I take this grip, he's posting. I come down, I follow the arm until I find the grip, and I take the hand in. Now from here, he's got no base for his left shoulder. So I'm going to use my two legs to start elevating, pulling him in, and I want to force his left shoulder down to the floor. Once his shoulder goes down to the floor, I land in this situation here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my left foot, this foot right here, out from between his knees, here. And I push myself back, and now I end up on top past the guard in a knee mount. So that's our near cuff sweep. Next, I'm going to show you guys a kickover sweep that involves the near cuff, but there's a little bit of a different gripping strategy going on. If you guys think back to spider guard and collar cuff bicep guard, we actually looked at the kickover sweep already using a number of other grips. Do you remember what the defining feature is of a kickover sweep? It's the sole of my foot placed on his hip or belly so I can elevate his hips and feet off the floor. Once I get the hips and feet off the floor, I can take him over, I control him, I own him. So let's see how we can make the kickover sweep an option even in the X guard. I'm here, Nick puts his hands to the floor to stop the back trip sweep. he's starting to push into me, so I can't extend and hit my scoop elevation sweep. I'm once again going to go here. I'm going to find that near cuff. Now I'm going to try to push it underneath, but maybe he's strong and I'm struggling to push it underneath. Another direction I can go with it is I can bring it over here and I can feed it into my scoop grip arm. Okay? So I was here, I had it with my left hand, I'm pushing, it's not working. Another option I have is to bring it and feed it to my right hand. My left hand is now free. I'm going to use my left hand to control the head, right here with the cross collar grip. Now if Nick tries to posture up, he won't be able to, because I control the head with this cross collar grip. Now my foot's going to come out of the far hip, and I'm going to step in the near hip, just like so. Nick, will you posture up for a moment? So my feet go from here, lean your head just a little forward. Remember, we got the head control, so his body's going to be forward, and I'm going to move my foot from here, from the far hip to the near hip. And when it's in the near hip, I can place the bottom of my foot right on the hip. Now if he's up in vertical posture, this foot won't really do much. I need him bent over, but he's going to be bent over, right? Because we have this grip, and I reached up and I grabbed my cross collar grip. Now that he can't bring his foot up, or his head up, my foot has a very nice pushing surface. If I want, I can take my left foot out as well and put my left foot in the belly. I like to try to start with one. So now from here I'm going to start to lift, use my right belly and the hip as I start to lift, and I dump them over that far shoulder. Okay? Let's go one more time. Take up a little space. That's right. So our X guard again. I'm here, his hands on the floor, and he's driving into me. I take the cuff and I want to push it inside, but I can't get it underneath his body. I bring it out here to my right hand. My left hand takes a grip on the collar. Now my right foot goes from the far hip to the near hip, and I start to lift and elevate, and we get him down on that shoulder. Now from here, I turn belly down, and now we're in the same scenario. I'm going to take my 2 feet across the belly, push myself back, and we have our kickover sweep from the X guard. So that's sweeps where we focus on the near cuff with just the near cuff sweep where I back roll and the kickover sweep. Now let's look at a situation where he knows these sweeps and he's going to deny me the near cuff and force me into the far cuff, okay? So, X. Rotate just a tad. Hands to the floor. Pushing into me, I go to this hand and he lifts his hand out and away. He's like holding it away from, yes, he's not letting me get that grip. Okay, so I can't do all these sweeps that go over in this direction. If I were to try to sweep in that direction now, he has a free hand. And he bases. Nothing works, okay? So, when I can't get the near cuff, I'm going to get the far cuff. I'm going to take that hand off the floor. Now with the far cuff, he has no hands to start pushing back on me. So even if he's using that right leg to try to push back on me, I can still try to overpower and extend. Now again, I'm going to take my foot and step on the knee, start to kick. And what will happen, as I sit up, he can't really posture the same way, right? Because I'm controlling this cuff. I'm holding his shoulder down. So as he tries to stand up or anything here, it's not easy. So now all I need to do is hip heist, and I can take the sweep. Very easy. So that's our far cuff sweep. When he denies me the near cuff, for the near cuff sweep or the kickover sweep, we can go to the far cuff and we can just push him and stretch him away and try to touch that far shoulder down to the floor. All right, so we're going to move on now. The next technique I'm going to show you is another one that we've seen before. We saw it in closed guard. We saw it in the Ashigorami. We're going to see here again with the X guard. It's the double ankle sweep. Remember the notion that anytime I control both of my partner's ankles and I apply a pushing force, I'm going to knock him down to his butt. We're going to do that same thing from the X guard. So, how are we going to do it? Ashi and X, okay? Once again, hands are to the floor maybe, so I can't hit the back trip sweep. And yeah, so another option I have, I could go with the cuff sweeps, those are options, but we're going to look at something new now. I'm going to use my 2 legs to start to elevate and pull my knees to my chest here. Look at how it draws this foot closer to me. Go back. Leg, step up. Right now I can't access that far leg, okay? It's too far away. I'm gonna use my two hooks to start to elevate, and I'm gonna take my two knees and start to pull into my chest, and watch Nick's foot. It comes close to me, okay? Now I'm gonna have the second ankle. I'm gonna go back in my X guard, and I'm gonna start driving out on his knee. I might even bring my second foot down to the knee. And I'm gonna start to drive, pushing, 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 until I get that knee down to the floor. And now that we got the knee down to the floor, we can finish the same way with the hip heights. I come up, we're down here, I pick up that second ankle, and I turn him down. There's some other options too. Obviously his back is exposed to me, and I can try to drag the leg by and go to the back and go to rear body locks. That'd be an option too. But I'm just trying to keep it simple just for the viewer's sake. Okay, maybe I'll show. Sure, why not? I'll show. So, I'm here. Let's rotate. Hands are to the floor, and he's pushing into me. I can't get the, maybe, I try to get the cuffs, and maybe I just don't like those techniques, what have you. And I like the double ankle. I like that notion of getting control of both the legs. So, from here, I'm gonna elevate with my knees and pull in with my knees to get everything to come closer to me, so I can grab that ankle. Now I'm going to start to drive him away, force him down, and I come up. If he turns belly down, and I come up, and we're here. Now all I'm going to do is come back a little bit, Nick. From here, I'm going to drag the leg by, come into a body lock. Now I could either try to jump onto the back and throw hooks in, or I can run in a circle to break him down to a hip. And now we can start attacking the back from here. So that's our double ankle sweep. Drawing that second ankle close to us so my other hand can get it. Then we take him down by controlling both of his legs. Now, another technique that I'm going to show you guys out of the X guard is the back take. We're going to make a transition from X to rear X. You'll see what that is in a moment, don't worry. And then out of the rear X, I put in two rear butterfly hooks, I pull down on the belt, and I take the back. Let's take a look. So I'm in here, I have my X guard just like so. Now, I'm going to use my X guard to start stretching him away, because as I do that, this leg gets lighter. The more Nick's weight is over this leg, the heavier this leg is, the harder it will be to move. I'm going to take my two legs, I'm going to start to stretch and extend him away to get this foot light. Now I'm going to go two hands on the ankle, and I'm going to pass his leg over my head here. And this is what we call rear X guard, where I have an X guard, but my head is to the rear of Nick rather than in front of him. So now, from this position, my right arm is going to reach up. I'm going to have to do a little bit of a sit-up to get my shoulders off the floor, and I grab his belt right in the center of the back. Okay? Nick, let's rotate. Let's go about right here. So we made this transition from X. I stretch, rear X. Right hand goes to the belt. Now from here, my left arm is going to pummel here, so I make an elbow frame behind the knee, and I start to push myself away as I bring my knee through. So I'm here, frame behind the knee, we push ourselves away as we connect knee and elbow together, and we basically do an elbow escape on this leg. And now I have two rear butterfly hooks. I'm behind Nick, and I have a butterfly hook on each leg. I'm going to use this belt grip now to pull down the hips as my butterfly hooks extend and spread his legs apart. And I sit him down to his butt right in front of me. Now from here I secure a seatbelt to glue my chest onto his back, and now I can start putting in hooks, and we have the back. So that's our basic back take from the X guard. I'll show it one more time. Different angle here. Let's go. So I'm going to go into my X guard, square up, right here, X guard. Actually, I'm sorry, let's rotate. I'm going to show you guys from the rear. So Nick, face me, Nick. We're going to go into our Ashigorami. We're going to go into our X guard. Now from here, I want to make this leg light so I can lift it. So I'm going to sort of stretch Nick away to get all of his weight away from me, so all of his weight comes off this leg. Two hands on, I switch, and now I'm in rear X guard. Now I do a sit-up and I grab the belt. My left hand comes to the inside. I push myself away from the leg as I bring my knee inside. Now from here, I pull as I extend and stretch, and I set them down to the floor. I grab the seatbelt, hooks go in, and we have the back. Okay, so that's a lot of the great sweeping and positional improvement options that we have out of the X Guard. To cap off the video, I'm going to show you guys a few transitions that we can go into, just to get into Ashigorami and different variations of leg entanglements to go into leg locking activity, or to use those Ashigораmis to sweep from the X Guard. Alright, one option that I have from here, one thing that people will do is they'll start to turn and drop this knee, or I can force them to as well. I can extend his legs as I apply pressure from the outside of the knee, down just like so, okay? I ideally want to get the hands to the mat. I did that by just giving him a little bump forward. Now, from here, I'm going to take my left foot out, hook, and my right foot comes out, and I hook. So this would be like a reverse Ashigorami, where I can start to attack knee bars. So if you guys are in a competition or tournament where heel hooks are not legal, you could just try to go after the knee bar here. Figure four your legs, extend, and try to go after the hyperextension of the knee. If heel hooks are legal, I generally recommend making a transition from reverse Ashigorami here to cross Ashigorami. And I do that by taking my foot down to the floor, I shrimp out, turn to the inside, and my knee flares down to the floor. Now I can triangle my legs, I grab this leg, turn it over, and we have our cross Ashigorami, where now I can start going in to my inside heel hooking activity. So we have that entrance to cross Ashigorami by spinning on the near leg. We can also go into cross Ashigorami by using a reverse X transition on the far leg. Have you learned this one, Nick?
Not yet.
Not yet? Oh, cool. So, from here, once again, I'm going to force Nick's hands to the floor. Do you remember how I do that? Extend, elevate, and this rear knee bumps forward. We're here. Now, I would like to sit up. As we know, if I can push him away, I can get up and sweep. But he wants to push back into me. If he pushes back into me, this is a good time to use reverse X. So I'm going to go from X guard posture up, Nick, just so I can show reverse X's. This is X, and reverse X is when I switch top and bottom. Here, that's reverse X. X, reverse X. So I'm going to bump his hands down to the floor again, and I go into reverse X. Now with using reverse X, I'm going to elevate Nick's hips over my head, just like so. Grabbing his leg, pulling it in. I'm going to drop him into the cross Ashigorami on what was the far leg. So before we entered into what was the near leg, now we entered into cross Ashigorami on the far leg using reverse X. I'll show that one more time. This is a relatively tricky, complicated one, but many of you know it, and it's good for many of you to review. So I'm here, I put Nick's hands down to the floor. I make my reverse X. I use my reverse X to start elevating Nick's hips up and over my head. Now my bottom leg, my leg that is in front of his thigh, extends. My right leg doesn't really do anything. My right leg just stays right where it is. My left leg doesn't really do anything. It stays where it is. My right leg extends, and my knee goes around the far side of his leg, and I lock a triangle. Now he forces his hips down to the floor, and we have once again our cross Ashigorami ready to go after the inside heel hooks. And then the obvious one, just transitioning into straight Ashigorami. When you can't get the breakdown from X guard, you can just go right back where you came from. So I go into my Ashigorami, I use Ashigorami, transition into X guard. Okay. From X guard, let's say I don't like how the card just shuffled, I don't like how he's doing, maybe he's more familiar with X guard than he is with Ashigorami. For whatever reason, I just decide I'd rather go back to Ashigorami. Again, anytime you have X guard, you have Ashigorami. And anytime you have Ashigorami, you also have X guard. So from here, I'm going to make a transition from a scoop grip to an Achilles grip. Now I can't just do this all willy-nilly. If I go here and I let go of the leg, they can step away. Very good. So I'm going to control the knee briefly while I make the switch from the scoop grip to the Achilles grip. Now, from the Achilles grip, my right leg comes out of the hip. I bring it back behind, and I bite it into the hip here. Now I'm going to use my right leg to back heel. I'm going to use my right leg to pull my hips up. My left leg goes back into position, and now we're once again back in the Ashigorami. And you guys know from last week how to deal with this. If we want to sweep with the single ankle, we drive our knees up, turn to the outside, or we could also try to go for the double ankle by forcing that far leg to come closer to us. We either have the double ankle sweep like so, and I knock them down, or if it's too far and I want to try for the single ankle, we can just punch the knees up to the outside, and we stand with our Ashigorami. So now you guys know how to partner the Ashigorami and the X guard up with one another. Some of my favorite techniques out of the X guard are the back trip sweep and the scoop sweep, or the scoop elevation where I stand up with the leg. But there's a lot of other good options there, as you guys saw. We got techniques with the near cuff, like the near cuff back roll sweep or the kickover sweep. We saw we have the far cuff sweep. We saw the shoelace breakdown variation of the scoop sweep. We saw how we can transition back into Ashigораmis. We saw how we can draw that second leg to us, get control of the second ankle, and then knock him down with a double ankle sweep. We also saw how we can take the back by passing from X guard to rear X guard, grabbing the belt, and using 2 rear butterfly hooks to set him down. All right, that's a lot of material. I'm going to go over it again real quick one more time, just talking. X guard, we have our back trip sweep. If they go forward and put their hands to the floor, we have our scoop sweep. Those are going to be the 2 strongest ones. Learn those. If he drives back into me off the scoop sweep, we have our shoelace breakdown variation where I take his ankle up off the floor. I've been showing it in classes. I guess I don't know if I showed it in this video, I can't remember. But that's another option. If he drives back into me, we saw how we can take that near cuff, stuff it underneath his body, and back roll. If I can't stuff it underneath the body, I can feed it, take a cross collar grip, and now we have a kickover sweep. If he completely hides that cuff from me, and I can't get the near cuff, I can grab the far cuff, and I can push him away and put him down to his shoulder. If none of those are working for me, if none of the cuff sweeps are working for me, I can use my X guard to draw that far leg in, grab the second ankle, and put him down to his butt with a double ankle sweep, and finish from there. We also saw that if I can get that leg light, the leg that's up on my shoulder, if I can get that one light by stretching him away, I make a pass to rear X guard, and now I can take the back. And then, to finish up, we can always transition out of the X guard into Ashigораmis. We have cross Ashigorami on the near leg by spinning on the leg. We have cross Ashigorami on the far leg with our reverse X transition. Or we can go right back into our straight Ashigorami, going right back where we came from, and going back into all the lessons we learned last week. So that's a lot of good material for you guys to study and chew on and think about this week. I hope that's good enough for you guys to continue your studies of the X guard. Now, don't forget to come back to classes next week where we're going to look at what to do when our partner keeps the leg stuck in the outside position. Okay? Nick, can you lay your back to the camera real quick? We know that from here, Nick wants his 2 feet in the inside position. That's what's going to allow him to go into Ashigorami and X guard. So as I approach, good grapplers know this. They're going to force that leg to the outside position, and they're going to build the wall here, keeping knee and elbow together. So now if Nick tries to take his 2 feet to the inside position again, he can't. So Nick is going to be forced into a form of outside control, a daily Eva. The other form of outside control here would be a lasso if he brings his leg up and over. Here. So those are Nick's options when his foot's stuck in the outside. We have a lasso, or next, as we're going to learn about next week, we have a daily Eva where he hooks in. Let's move this leg. He hooks in right here. He makes a hook in my inner thigh with this leg from the outside. That's our daily Eva, and we're going to study that next week. So guys, don't miss that class. That pairs very well with the Ashigorami and the X guard, not because it's really easy to transition from one to the other, but because when your opponent denies you the X guard and the Ashigorami by forcing your foot to the outside position, you still have options because you know how to connect to your opponent from outside position, and we're going to have a number of attacks from there as well. See you next time, guys. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks.